Hello folks, I'm back again, and today I'm going to talk about the Fluval Bio-CO2 system. This particular unit is the one in between the range of units. There's one that's bigger than this, for I think it goes up to about 125 gallon tanks, and then there's a smaller one than this, whose tank size eludes me at the moment, but I think it's probably in that like 10, 20 gallon range. This is appropriate from somewhere in the 40 gallon range upwards to 70 gallons or so, or almost 70 gallons. It says 66 US gallons. In today's video, I'm going to unbox this. I'm going to set it up. So you're going to see how it's implemented. And then I'm going to put it on my sump, but only temporarily. The final destination for this will be the largest fluval kit project I've ever done. And just to kind of be all-inclusive, I'm going to put as many fluval products into it as I can. Well, I won't have to do a lot because this kit comes with just about everything I need. That's just a little spoiler for one of the next videos coming up. But I do want to try this. I'm going to try this on a system that's way bigger than what it needs. I think it will benefit some. I want to put it... I have a small... My sump is actually divided into a few small areas. And I do grow plants out in there. I use my sump more like a refugium than just pumping biological and filtering out mechanical stuff. So that's where it's going to go temporarily, and then in about a month or so, right about the time that this starts to deactivate and slow down, I'm going to put it on a brand new system, and you'll get to see that set up again there. All right, so I also have a couple of accessories. This is the indicator set. So this has basically, it's got this little glass thing, and you'll make a little air bubble inside of there, and you'll add this little chemical inside. This chemical will react with the oxygen content inside that bubble. Basically, the CO2, if it is present in the aquarium, will leak up into that air bubble and activate along with that chemical and change colors. The process is kind of slow, so this isn't like a real-time indicator of what your CO2 is, but it is kind of a in general indicator. So if you do something that moves that needle up or down, you won't see it right away on this, but over time you will. And if there's a problem, like a persistent problem, that's where the CO2 is going the way you don't want, you can definitely tell on this. This is a good kind of like daily cautionary checker. Like it's real handy when things aren't going right, and less useful when things are just fine, I guess. Like every indicator, right? This is a refill kit. So this is, and we're going to get into this a little bit more in a second, but this is basically, this kit is based off kind of an age-old yeast and sugar CO2 reaction. People have done this basically for free with 2-liter bottles and makeshift hoses and stuff like that. I've done it myself. I actually gassed a tank full of fish making it myself. So I've been kind of wary of DIY stuff like this in general, but this is a refill kit. So I guess they've portioned out their yeast and some other, I'm not sure what's in this other thing because you add sugar to it. And most, if I remember from my DIY days, there was something else you added. And I know there's another way to do DIY CO2 that's baking soda and citric acid. So, but it seems like I remember adding baking soda or something else to kind of be like a base inside of that reaction, but to kind of make it more, I don't know, make it last longer or do something. I can't remember exactly what the scenario is. Leave a comment if you remember what it is. But this is a refill kit. It's going to come with a couple of little things to kind of get this going, but this is a kit to kind of go. And I think this kit has 4, the bioactivator, which I think is yeast, and bio booster. So you're going to add 2 of each of those packs to make this activate, I think. So this will last 2 months if you use this model. Last but not least, we have this. And this is the Fluval Bio-CO2. And it's got some instructions right here on the back for how it works. It's really, really simple to set this up and activate it. Convenient and easy to use. long lasting for up to 30 days, safe biological process, low running cost. So it doesn't use electricity, it doesn't use or really anything. So I've actually unboxed some kits before that kind of went with the same model. We got the stainless steel, a little bubble counter at the top. A lot of the models that I've seen from China, basically, are those Amazon ones. In fact, I've unboxed a couple of those things. I think they're mainly made for the citric acid and baking soda method. I could be wrong. All the instructions were in Chinese, and I ended up giving that to Chattanooga Ed. So you can go bug Chattanooga Ed for getting an example of how that one works. Some of the features include a bubble counter, a pressure release valve, which is nice, so this won't ever explode on you. Top quality stainless steel reaction chamber on 100% silicone gasket seal. It comes with a diffuser. It comes with an inline check valve. It comes with CO2 airline. Regular airline will leak CO2. CO2 can pass through the membrane of regular airline, so CO2 airline is recommended. And it includes a 30-day supply of their little packages here. Okay, but let's open it and take a look. It's a fairly small box. Pop it open. I have already removed the instructions and read them, so usually I think some instructions will be right here. We've got our initial starting supply of the CO2 booster stuff, the reactor stuff, and some packing material. Just gonna pull it straight out. Oh, okay. We got something else right here. What is this, I wonder? Oh, that's the bubble counter. Looks like an okay little bubble counter right there. And that's it. Let's go ahead and open up. Let's look inside. Some more stuff. We got the CO2 tubing. And we've got their diffuser. And another little box. Another tiny little box with what? What is this? What could it be? Oh, this is the check valve. Check valve only allows the flow to go in one direction so that you won't have water leaking back down from your aquarium into the CO2 if it starts to go backwards. Very important. So there you have it, very small amount of components. Let's go ahead and open this up and get it ready. It looks like they do, this is made to go with this specific model. I'll see here, the 250 liter, yeah. This is plastic. You'll see a lot of these are made of glass. The glass ones actually kind of scare me a little bit. I've had a couple of them break off in my hand. It's no fun. Yep. What's interesting about this too is, in theory at least, you could unscrew this. So this is the part of a diffuser. The part that could go bad is this part of the top. Because this takes the bubbles and it makes them into smaller bubbles. It's like I'm not sure, some sort of stone. But it gets clogged up with algae, and over time it can get kind of clogged up and not work as well. But I guess in theory you could buy another cap and just put it in, so instead of pulling this whole thing out and replacing it, you could just replace that. Usually these things are so cheap though, you just buy another one. And it's got a little suction cup so you can set it on here. So we'll just kind of stage this and get it ready. We've also got the CO2 airline. It feels pretty thick. It's a little bit more rigid than you'd typically see. And that's just going to work its way. You know what? Oh, before I do this, actually I need to get this check valve going. Okay, if you look very closely on this check valve, you probably won't be able to see it in the video, but if you look really close, there's a little arrow here on the black, so that the flow is going to go like this. So you're going to be clear, it's going to go out of here through this, and then it's going to go this way, with this side being towards the aquarium and this side being towards the CO2. So there's an arrow to indicate and let you know which way the flow is supposed to go on that. And what will happen is it'll make it so if any water gets sucked back down into this, like reverse suction from like releasing the pressure or something, if it started to go down here, it will stop right here. And this won't let anything go this way. It'll only let things go through that way. That's what the function of this check valve is. And every check valve. Every check valve you've ever seen works this way. All the good ones have an arrow. Some others use colors, like that's supposed to help you understand what it is, but yeah. So if I remember from the instructions, there's something I'm supposed to remove from this. Let's see. So I'm going to pull this off the top. Oh, okay. So inside of here, there's an extra gasket, which we're going to take off and lose. All right, so I'll lose that right away. I believe the gasket is probably, let's see. No, it's not for that. I'm not sure what it's for. Okay, so this little gasket here is the replacement gasket for this part. Yeah, there it is. It's a replacement for this gasket right here on the top. Okay. In fact, let's go ahead and put this bubble counter on. It's just going to screw on like so. Here's a look at the... Oh yeah, here's that pressure valve. So if it gets too much pressure, I guess it'll... this will push up and up and up, and then it'll release there. So this will never get to the point where it explodes. And that's a good thing. I'm kind of a wuss, but there's so many things that scare me about regular CO2, like the pressurized CO2 and stuff. I think the main thing that's kept me away from DIY CO2 is the hassle. I don't think that these packets are going to necessarily alleviate that hassle. Like I feel almost compelled to just go ahead and figure out how much yeast it is and just do it myself. But once a month, you are going to have what is probably not too terrible a chore of taking this, pouring it out someplace, maybe rinsing it off and starting this process up again. It won't be super consistent like a more electronic version of compressed air and solenoids and stuff like that. It's not going to be the same experience, but it could be a way to kind of get a nice low pressure source of CO2 into your tank. So this bubble counter you're going to fill with water. I think I've seen, like on the pressurized CO2 systems, a lot of times they'll recommend filling it with something else. I want to say it was mineral spirits or something like that. Something that's like not toxic but won't evaporate. These instructions recommended water, so that's probably what I'll put in there. I'm going to go ahead and set up the check valve. So I'm going to just take a small portion of this CO2 tubing and cut away from me. And I'm going to take that, going to heat it up with my finger a little bit, like that's going to do any good at all. I'm going to push it down onto this. I'm going to take this part that I removed from the top of this, I'm going to slide it back down there. I'm going to screw it onto here, and that's going to lock that hose in. So that is attached and will not come off. Pop, pop. And next, we're going to do this. Remember, this way goes to the aquarium, so we're going to pop this in here. If you have a hard time with this, you can kind of dip the end of it in some warm water. I'm able to kind of push it on, it feels like. It could be easier though. You could heat it up with your lighter, which is a little dangerous. 9 out of 10. No, let's see. 7 out of 10. Don't really recommend, but you could do it. But really, if you push it up past this lip, it's probably okay. Like, that's tight on there, that's not coming off. The other thing we're going to do as we get started, what you'll be able to do, once this reaction takes place and we get some pressure in here, we'll be able to release some of that pressure gradually with this and sort of fine tune it. So I'm going to turn it all the way to minus. It's got a plus one way and a minus one way. Go all the way to minus and just make sure that this is closed up. I'm going to put some water in there. We don't have to worry about that right now. But I will eventually put some water in here. And then when I do that, I'm just going to shut the top of this up. Let's screw the top of that on there, like so. And now the canister itself is ready to go. We just need to add some ingredients. And now where the mad scientist comes in. So opening this up. So you remember how I said this was yeast based? If you cooked at all, maybe you're a young person that doesn't cook or hasn't cooked much yet. But yeast expires. It doesn't last forever. There is an expiration date. So the first thing I'm going to do on this is look on the back of these packets. So on the back of these packets, this is the activator, the Bio-CO2 activator packets. We're going to look on the back and you're going to see printed a date. That date is the expiration date for this stuff, and it says 8/26. That's a pretty good amount of time. That's a couple of years. I'm kind of surprised. This booster, CO2 booster, I am not sure what this is. Leave a comment if you got a guess for what this is. My guess is some sort of base. But they look like little pellets. Now, I'm going to look at this instructions again. I believe for this size model, I'm adding all of this. So these 2 little packets of yeast and these 2 little cubes. Okay, so we're going to fill this up with water in a minute, and there's a fill line inside of here. It's going to be hard for me to show you once I have ingredients in, so I wanted to kind of point that out before we get started. Right here at the top, there's a little tiny little gray fill line that indicates where the top of this is. All right, so this starts off pretty simple. We're going to take the activator packets. We're going to add those in here. I'm just going to get all of it in there. Do the same with the other one. We're going to drop some plastic in and then very carefully pluck it back out. Okay. All right, now I'm adding this booster tab. Looks like Alka-Seltzer. All right, I'm going to go ahead and throw the other one in too. Cheers. All right. I'll also be adding 2.5 cups of sugar. Oh, and by the way, Holly, we're out of sugar. It looks like I've added some sugar to my table. So the last part of this, we're going to take room temperature tap water or aquarium water, whatever you want. And we're going to take this and fill this up to that fill line in here. We're going to screw this cap on, and then you let it sit for 24 hours. And after 24 hours, you should be able to test this and see if you're getting bubbles, see if you've got pressure. And then you can proceed to go ahead and getting it hooked up to whatever aquarium you're going to put this on. All right, it is the next day, and I'm going to open this up a little bit, and let's see if we get some bubbles. See if that reaction is working. I'm just going to go real slow. Nothing. Oh, there we go. So what you'll want to do is tune this. And I'll probably have a steady pace, something like that. We're going to go ahead and attach, we'll attach the other end of this tube to this thing, this check valve, and drop this in a tank and let it provide some CO2. And then when we set up the new tank, we'll test this continuous running CO2 and see how it does. Let's cut this off for now and get it installed. I realized also that I forgot to open this on camera. And this is the check. I think I talked about it. I brought it up, but I didn't actually open it. So let's take a look at this real quick. This is another product they have, and I've seen this for sale in a couple of different ways. They all come the same way. So we've got the indicator device. We got something to hold it onto the side of the aquarium, and then we have an indicator solution. It says on the back of it, it's got a little color coding to show you if you've got too high CO2, just the right amount of CO2, or too low in your CO2. This does take time to change color, but what you're going to do is you'll put this. Is this glass? Yeah, it feels like glass here. A little glass device. This isn't perfect, but it's the kind of thing, once you've kind of tuned in your CO2, once you've got it kind of where you want, you can use this to make sure that you're still on track and just kind of to quickly visualize it. What it will do is if the CO2's too low or too high over a long period of time, like several hours, that's when this color will change, and you'll know that you've got kind of an ongoing systemic problem that you have to address. All right. So I decided, since this tank has CO2 running on it already, I would just disengage the CO2 here in the back. And this is the new one. I've got it at a pretty conservative amount of bubbles per second. Maybe 1 bubble per second, and it is producing bubbles here. Not a super fine mist, but it is working. Very similar to the way this one worked. I'm not so sure that this diffuser is the best best ever, but it does seem to be breaking up the bubbles and stuff and making them smaller. And here it is down here. As you can see, I've got a very expensive version of this in the background, but yeah, I've got it swapped out with this for the time being, just to see how it does. So this product just came out a few months ago. It's brand new for 2024. It's not a brand new concept. They've been selling stuff similar to this on eBay. Not exactly like this. It is a little bit unique. One thing you'll notice with this is it doesn't have a solenoid, so it doesn't ever turn off. I contacted Fluval to see if it's okay to put a solenoid on there. I usually like to do that so that the CO2 comes on during the day and stays off at night. I do wonder, especially with homemade, a lot of homemade systems, you wouldn't put one on because you don't have anything, like if you're just using plastic bottles and stuff to keep your, you wouldn't want the pressure to build up in there. And I've had little hoses explode and stuff when I've tried to put solenoids on pressurized systems and stuff like that that aren't directly connected to the bubble counter and by metal. There's been all kinds of little strange mishaps and stuff that have happened to me with that. Fluval's response was that they are planning to release a product, a solenoid that you could probably attach to something like that, but they haven't got one yet. They do have one on the larger models, like I said. The larger version of this does have a solenoid. This one and the other small one does not. And this is, according to Fluval, this is the kind of thing that you could turn on and just like leave on all the time. It's going to put a small enough amount in at a time to where it's not, perhaps not necessary to turn it off during the night. In fact, but here's the official response from Fluval.
The system is designed to produce a steady flow of CO2 without interruption, ensuring your aquatic plants receive a continuous supply of this essential gas, even during hours when the aquarium lights are turned off. The production rate is carefully calibrated to about 10 bubbles per minute per 26 US gal, 100 L, of aquarium volume. The system is designed to produce a steady flow of CO2 without interruption, ensuring your aquatic plants receive a continuous supply of this essential gas, even during hours when the aquarium lights are turned off. The production rate is carefully calibrated to about 10 bubbles per minute per 26 US gal, 100 L, of aquarium volume, sufficient for the needs of your plants while remaining safe for your fish, even overnight. Rest assured, the CO2 concentration never reaches levels that could pose a risk to your aquatic environment, no matter your Bio-CO2 model size. In fact, your plants will flourish with a consistent availability of CO2. Knowing that additional CO2 released into the aquarium is harmless, the solenoid valve was excluded from the two smaller Bio-CO2 models. This allows these units to remain affordable to consumers while allowing more hobbyists access to the benefits of carbon dioxide supplementation.
When I get the new tank set up, I think maybe I'll do a pH test. Like measuring the pH is like the quickest, most accurate way to measure what your CO2 is at that specific point in time. So what I might do is I'm going to set up this new tank and I'm going to get a baseline. I'll probably not activate this like the first week or so. I'm going to let things settle in. I'm going to get sort of a baseline of what the pH is. And then I'm going to activate this, set it up, and then we'll measure it over time. And I'll try my best to get it at least 2 or 3 times a day. So I'm going to do in the morning, and I'll do in the afternoon when I come home from work, and then I'll do at night before I go to bed. I'm going to track that for a week, and we'll see how that fluctuates, what that pH fluctuates. And I can do that before I have any fish or anything in there. If you overdose CO2 in a tank with just plants, you might get some algae. But you're not going to do a lot of permanent damage to anything. And I don't honestly think that even if this ran all the time, that it would be a big problem. Like I think that these things like at this size, it could probably run, if you put it on an appropriate sized tank. If you take this bigger one and you stick it on a little 5-gallon tank, you're going to have problems more than likely. But then you're not using it by the recommended ways. I guess the other thing to consider with this is who's it for? So if you're a DIY person, this product probably won't make much sense to you. I mean, we're looking at what, $5 or $6 at the grocery store for a 2-liter bottle you can drink or pour out, and the other yeast and other ingredients you need to kind of make something similar. The hoses and stuff, you could use regular hose. Like I said, it isn't. It does leak, or you can buy CO2 hose and little diffusers and stuff like this. This is going to be a few more dollars. I don't know yet what the retail price for this is going to be, but I did ask. It seems like it's pretty low availability. I'm not seeing it on Amazon. I'm not seeing it for order, and I'm not sure when it's going to be like widely available. I don't remember, the set I have did not have a pressure release valve, so that is something that's unique. This is nice looking if you've got an aquarium where you've got an exposed cabinet and maybe you don't want like janky homemade bottles with that messy kind of stuff. This stuff, it isn't the prettiest thing to see. This reaction might be interesting to see like for a science experiment, but it's not really pretty. And in fact, those DIY bottles look pretty yucky after a while. So I do appreciate a nice stainless steel thing. Plus I feel really good about this containing the pressure and holding any pressure that builds up in here. Because the idea is to create as much pressure as you can out of that reaction so that it can pump all the way through and make some nice bubbles for a long period of time. So if you've got this out where people can see, or maybe you just don't like the mess, you want something nice and clean, this is a tight little system. It's a real compact and small and easy to use compared to pressurized CO2. The ingredients are not, you don't have to go to some specialty store to get your CO2 refilled. I know it's a big drag too with the CO2 tanks. You might buy a new tank online or something, then you go to get it filled. They just swap it out with the jankiest looking tank you've ever seen. Those CO2 tanks are not meant to be yours for all time. If you've got the means to get your specific tank filled up and stuff, well, that's great. But everywhere I've ever been, you've given that tank away, and they're giving you something else in return. It's kind of like when you, go to fill your, if you've got a propane gas on your grill or something like that. That tank that you've got, don't get attached to it because you're just trading it out with another tank. But thank you very much, Fluval, for sending me this. You'll be able to get this and other things like this at your local aquarium fish store, hopefully very soon. I know the Aquarium Knoxville is going to be carrying it. And if they don't have it, you can order it from there. All right, so we're going to do a deep dive analysis into this later. Obviously, I'm filming this in part before I've had a chance to see this react or anything, but the deep dive will come later where we're going to really play with this and see how it reacts over a period of time. Like I said, we're going to check that pH and see how it does without a solenoid or anything like that. See if it's something to worry about or no big deal, which is what I'm hoping it'll be. If you want to catch all that, be sure to subscribe, come back. I want to see you again, and click like if you like this video. Let me and the algorithm know that you appreciate videos like this. Until next time, follow your bliss. Keep a clean tank full of CO2. And I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.